Hey everybody, so I'm back from vacation in Canada and a lot happened while I was gone. So let's dive right in. Welcome back to the Freedom Pines podcast. I'm your host, Jamie A.B. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get into today's video. So first of all, I want to say that MarkCarney fans are pissed, okay? They are so mad that they are dropping this digital service tax. And I don't know why. I don't know why people genuinely cannot figure out that this would be taken out on us. I don't know why nobody on the left, or I don't understand how they genuinely cannot figure out that these taxes or whatever it is just burns us. Okay, it either comes back onto us because they would just get rid of Facebook and Meta and all of our social medias entirely instead of having to pay this massive tax to Canada for no reason. Okay, because why are we taxing them? Why would we tax them? Why would we tax them? People are like, well, it would give us lots of money. You know what would also give us money? If you let some of these companies actually pay content creators and actually took away C11 so we could actually get our names out there if we have differing opinions than the liberal federal government. Okay? That might help Canadians more than a digital service tax. The anger that I feel, like, this comes back onto us every time, okay? Because if we paid our content creators, then we would be generating a lot more money for Canadians and Canada overall, okay? If we stopped censoring the crap out of people, they could get their voices out there, okay? You know, I say sometimes that I do think I would be more ahead of the game if if people could see my videos, right? Because we don't get into the algorithm. But like I said, Elevate Podcast is someone who I obviously look up to, and I've talked to before, and I have been following them since the convoy, and I did not find them I didn't even think they had a YouTube, okay, until a few months, literally maybe even just a year ago. I had no idea. I didn't even know what Josh or Dalton looked like, or what Josh and now Reg look like. I had no idea. Not a clue, because they did cookies. Okay, they take all of our information to sell it, but God forbid they, connect us with people that we would like to see. Even I did an interview with Be Real Babe, and all of the things that she talks about are things that I would be interested in that should hypothetically be coming up on my algorithm, but they're not. Why is Rachel Gilmore, Boots on the Ground, all of these left-leaning creators who have been skyrocketed, okay, pushed forward? Anyways, I just have a lot to say. And you know what? I'm glad Carney backed down. I don't care. I'm glad that he did. I think it was a good move. But here's the thing. The left, they are not mad. They continue to think that Carney is giving in to Trump, which might work in Pierre's favor. But I highly suggest that Pierre doesn't go the same route of hating Donald Trump the way that MarkCarney and the Liberals did. But I will say it's looking good for Pierre. And I will say I have been following Pierre. I'm very excited for his campaign. I am very excited that he is back. I'm getting a little bit more hope as I am watching his things. Although, as the story I'm going to tell you guys next is just bringing me down so much. I do think Pierre has a lot of, he's inspirational. I know it sounds so silly, but Pierre has what it takes to be prime minister, and I'm genuinely still shocked to this day that he did not win that election. So, anyways, let's get into what I'm about to talk about next, which is the state of Canada. Because might I remind you that Liberals, and people are like, why do you blame the government for your vacation being ruined? Okay, first of all, I hypothetically know that in the little, if you look at it like this, you're not going to see how an overall problem is systemic from the government, okay?
You can take a summer fun time vacation where you're locked in a car for 10 consecutive days, nonstop with no bathroom breaks. And the Conservatives have a plan for you to have that summertime fun. And the cost? Give up the future of the planet, right? Don't worry, kids, about climate change. Don't worry about taking action on the planet. Enjoy your 10 hours in the car and let the planet burn.
So keep in mind that our government said this, okay? Because I'm about to have a mental breakdown, so stay with me. Okay, first of all, white people need tinted windows, okay? So first of all, I got a new to me car last year. And when I got this car, I said, there's something weird with it. And it ended up being the torque. So if you don't know what that is, I have a GMC, like an SUV. And when it goes forward, it like chugs. So when I go to pass people on the 401, sometimes I couldn't do it because my vehicle wouldn't speed up. Anyways, long story short, they're telling me there's nothing wrong with my vehicle. They just sold it to us, by the way. We spent the minimal money that we had left over from our paychecks on a new vehicle because our vehicles were paid off, but there was we continued to have to fix them over and over and over again, okay? So we made the decision to I literally had not even had a vehicle with a touchscreen thing or a backup camera, nothing. I don't care about those things. I am not picky in the slightest. Trust me, I am not bougie. I do not need fancy things, but I do need a vehicle that works, and we needed a vehicle that works. So lo and behold, we go to a new to used car. It's it's by GMC, so it's a reputable whatever. They sell it to us. There's all these things wrong. Okay, and then so we have to keep taking it back. And so that's frustrating. So not only do Canadians have to deal with high interest rates and the fact that the government wants to take these vehicles away from us, but we also have to deal with companies being able to continuously screw us over. I am not unconvinced that these companies aren't working in tandem to ensure that our lives are horrible. That's when I was stolen from, I looked up on WEF to see if things like Bank of Nova Scotia or any of our banks were involved with the WEF, and they absolutely are. And what's the WEF's favorite thing to say? You will owe nothing and be happy. Well, you might be pushing me to own nothing, but I am not going to shut up about how unhappy I am about it, okay? So anyways, I haven't had my vehicle now for a month because we took it to one place. They dicked around, said, I don't know if the warranty covers it. So we called another place and said, hey, we bought it from you guys. Can you tell us, does this cover the warranty? They're like, get it in right now. We'll redo it. I am not mad this time about my vehicle needing to be fixed and that they have to order the parts and the parts aren't in. That's not what makes me mad. What makes me mad is the economy is so unbelievably shit. Okay, they gave us a rental, thank God, because we have nothing. But the rental car could not fit my entire family. Also didn't have tinted windows, which is what I mean. We need tinted windows as white people. I'm just saying. I almost had a heat stroke because even with the AC on in this car, I was dying, okay? I was literally like, oh my gosh. I had to pull over in North Bay because I genuinely felt like I was going to pass out. But that's, and then the whole drive, I'm just seeing smoke. Why? But anyways, let's get back to the story. So long story short, I go on my second ride after paying for the fast pass and I get sick. Because all of a sudden, since 2021, after being able to go on roller coasters my entire life, I become extremely sick. And I'm sure correlation doesn't equal causation, just like the left loves to say. But that sure is a weird coincidence that ever since 2021, I haven't been able to go on a ride without feeling sick. This year, I think it was just the being at the back of Behemoth. Behemoth is really rough this year. If you know what I'm talking about, it's this giant roller coaster. And it has a lot of hills, and I think the hills make a lot of people sick. I actually looked online, and it does make a lot of people sick, so I'm kind of not surprised. But I will say, I've never had those feelings before. And in fact, in the first part of the whole thing, I'm like, yeah, I have my hands up. And then all of a sudden, I get this overwhelming sense of absolute nausea. I felt hungover. I got off that ride. I literally, everything was spinning. I had to go lay on the grass, probably in some goose poop. I have no idea. And the thing is that, like I said, the left likes to say correlation doesn't equal causation, but weird coincidence, right? And that's what I mean. Like, every single part of my life has been impacted by the government, and any other time in history, the left can look back and say, yeah, the government was oppressing people and doing things deliberately to, ensure the citizens' downfall. What do you think? What part of history do people really think they're on? I do not know. Okay. I am not somebody that sits here and pretends that I don't know that companies, like, capitalism has its flaws. Okay. Do I prefer it? Yes. Okay. I do. I would like to be paid fairly. As somebody who was a very big candidate for, everybody should get paid the same. No. I've done a job where I watched teachers get paid so much more money than me, and me have the crap beat out of us. Now, teachers have a hard job for different reasons, but an educational assistant literally puts their life on the line to be able to do that job. So I completely understand now. And like, the whole point of this is you can't get ahead, even when you're rolling with the punches, even when you have an incredible attitude. Okay. And before, I would have lost my mind. If this was 12 years ago and that many bad things happened to have happened, I would have lost it, and I would have been a martyr about it. And like, I'm not telling you guys this story to let you feel or make you feel bad for me or anything. I'm telling you guys this story because I'm just so sick and tired of climbing up a hill and continuously getting pushed down it. We are supposed to, food is not supposed to cost this much. We are not supposed to be taxed this much. My husband deserves his paycheck. If this electric vehicle stuff goes through, I am out of here. Alberta has to separate, because there will no longer be anything for Alberta to, export. If, you know what I mean? I do not know how the left thinks that we can just continuously bring people in here and not have energy sources. Anyways, I hope families realize when they start being able to afford less and less fun things with their kids. And by no means am I going to let this ruin my entire summer. We moved up north for a reason. Everything is free up here. The beaches are free to park at. Like, we have tons of things to do. But I deserve, and my kids deserve, to go to Wonderland once a year. Damn. I'm not asking for Disneyland. I'm asking for Wonderland. Okay, and Wonderland's great, and it's really stepped up its game. It makes them a ton of money, because in America there's an amusement park every 2 hours, and in Canada there is one amusement park servicing 13 million people. So we have Santa's Village up here. Shout out, new coaster this year, but they're starting to build it up, but it's nowhere near Canada's Wonderland, obviously. So, and then you're there all day and you're watching people. By the way, we have a big parenting problem in this country, okay? And all around, all people. And the only thing that I can see here's the thing. How can I tell someone's Canadian? Because here's the thing. Canada's always been diverse. I don't care what you say. I don't ever remember a time where I could go to a city. Now, mind you, it's never been one certain race that I've been able to see, okay? It's been a diverse situation, okay? How can I tell if someone is Canadian? Is they apologize if something happens. Like, this little girl ran into me, and she's obviously Canadian. She was like, oh, sorry. Like, people are like, oh, racist. No, I can tell when people are Canadian because of their attitudes. Because watching people, but by the way, don't let your kids play in fountains. I'm sorry. Am I wrong for saying that? Am I wrong? Like, when I'm watching you let your kid play in the Leviathan fountain, I just want to turn around to you and be like, I never even touch this water, because I'm afraid that if I put, like, there's electricity in it. I don't know if I'm going to get electrocuted if I stick my hand all the way in there or something. I don't know. Why are you letting your kid play in this? Does it say, should it say no swimming? Should we have a sign that says no swimming there? People letting their kids like climb fences. I don't know if they're just not watching their kids. I have no idea. Okay. So many people, and you know what? There's Canadian teenagers that act the exact same way. Why? Because we don't have rules in school anymore. So why would they follow rules in public? That's teenagers from Vaughan, and I'm not going to say anything else, but like that, those are the people that I'm noticing who are butting in line, being extremely rude, not following the rules. And this is where language barriers matter, guys, because safety. Every single summer, I'm seeing the ramifications of a language barrier. People think you're racist. It's not racist. When I go to Quebec, I prepare myself by getting my phone and having my damn translator out all the time. And, practicing over and over the French. Like if I go through a drive-through, I practice over and over what I'm going to say when I'm in Quebec, because that's just what happens when you're dealing with a language barrier. How are you going to know not to do the things that are dangerous in an amusement park if you can't read? And have you seen amusement parks in other countries? The one thing that I am grateful for being Canadian is our incredibly strict, amazing safety standards that we have. Okay? In America, you're banking on your state having good ones, or, the coaster building companies being safe themselves. Okay? In Canada, we have strict federal regulations because of the accident at West Edmonton Mall. And I am for it. Not that I wish that didn't happen to them to have to create these laws. But because of that, we have incredibly safe laws. And you know that every time you're going on a ride in Canada, it's going to be safe. Okay? But when people... like when you're on the swings of the century, you cannot be screwing around, okay? They tell you to put your cell phones away, not to be party poopers. They tell you that because have you seen Final Destination 3? Not that happens, but like you can drop your phone on someone below you and kill them. You're 300 feet in the air. Do you think a metal box flying at someone's head is safe? Just follow the fucking rules. And does that make me a communist? I don't even know. It's like all of a sudden you can just tell that Canada is out of order. And not only can we not afford things, but when we do go and do things, everything is out of whack. I was just talking about the Toronto concert situation, which I'm going to make a whole video about, but like I will be back because I have so much to talk about, because Canada is, and every single time I go to Southern Ontario, I am just reminded how much Canada is in a disarray. And I think in Southern Ontario, you guys have been kind of like, it's a slow burn, so maybe you don't notice it as much. But someone from Northern Ontario, what is going on? Anyways, guys, that's the end of my video, okay? Like I said, don't feel bad for me, but this is the reality of Canadians, okay? Because I can make the best of a situation. Not everybody can. But I hope you guys had a really good long weekend. Let me know what you guys did, and I'm back, baby. Happy summer.